Prohibition. It's a word that conjures up images of speakeasies, bathtub gin and flappers dancing the Charleston. But at its core, prohibition is simply the act of forbidding something. Not just alcohol, mind you. We prohibit all sorts of things in society. Think about it. Legal prohibitions ban harmful substances like drugs and dangerous activities like driving under the influence. Social prohibitions discourage behaviors deemed unacceptable by the majority, like public nudity or cutting in line. And then there are personal prohibitions, the self-imposed no-nos we establish for ourselves, like swearing off carbs or binge-watching reality TV. No matter the form it takes, prohibition boils down to one simple idea: drawing a line in the sand and saying, nope, not allowed. But why do we draw these lines? And what happens when we do? Buckle up, folks, because we're about to dive into the fascinating, frustrating, and often hilarious world of prohibition. So, why all the rules? Why can't we just let people do what they want? Well, as much as we'd all love to live in a world of complete freedom, the truth is sometimes we need a little bit of regulation. Prohibitions are put in place for a variety of reasons, but most boil down to a few key objectives: protecting public safety, safeguarding public health, preserving the environment, and upholding moral and social standards. Of course, not everyone agrees with every rule. Some argue that too many prohibitions infringe on personal liberties. Others believe that more regulations are needed to address emerging threats. It's a delicate balancing act, weighing individual freedoms against the collective good. But one thing's for sure: prohibitions are a fact of life, and understanding the reasons behind them is crucial for a functioning society. Let's face it, humans can be a little unpredictable. That's why we have rules to prevent us from doing things that might harm ourselves or others. These public safety prohibitions are all about minimizing risk and ensuring that we can coexist without, accidentally blowing each other up. Think about it. We prohibit drunk driving to prevent accidents. We ban the sale of dangerous products like faulty electrical wiring or lead-painted toys to protect consumers. We have laws against assault, theft, and murder to maintain order and keep people safe. These prohibitions might seem like common sense, but they exist because, sadly, common sense isn't always so common. By setting clear boundaries and enforcing consequences for crossing them, we create a safer environment for everyone. It's like that old saying goes, you can't fix stupid, but you can legislate it. Our health. That precious, fragile thing we often take for granted until it's gone. Thankfully, we live in an age where we understand the importance of public health and have implemented numerous prohibitions to protect it. Smoking is a prime example. Once a ubiquitous habit, smoking is now widely recognized as a major health hazard. Through a combination of public awareness campaigns, smoking bans in public places, and increased taxes on cigarettes, we've seen a significant decline in smoking rates. But cigarettes aren't the only target. We've also seen prohibitions on harmful ingredients in food, like trans fats, and regulations on food safety standards to prevent the spread of foodborne illnesses. These measures might seem intrusive to some, but they're all about protecting us from things we might not even realize are harming us. After all, who needs a side of salmonella with their eggs Benedict? Section 5. Environmental protection, saving the planet, one regulation at a time. Remember that whole "there's no planet B" thing? Yeah, turns out it's kind of important. That's where environmental prohibitions come in. These regulations aim to protect our planet from the often detrimental effects of human activity. Think bans on single-use plastics, restrictions on harmful emissions from factories, and regulations on deforestation. These measures are all about preserving our natural resources, combating climate change, and ensuring a healthy planet for future generations. Sure, it might be inconvenient to remember your reusable bags at the grocery store or pay a little extra for eco-friendly products. But when it comes to the health of our planet, these small sacrifices are a small price to pay. After all, we only get one Earth. Let's try not to break it. Section 6. Morality and social order, navigating the ethical minefield. Now, things are about to get a little trickier. While most people can agree on the importance of public safety, health, and the environment, prohibitions based on morality and social order tend to be more subjective and, let's face it, a lot more controversial. These prohibitions often reflect the values and beliefs of a particular society at a particular time. Think laws against gambling, prostitution, or certain types of speech deemed offensive or harmful. The challenge with these types of prohibitions is that what's considered morally acceptable can vary widely across cultures, generations, and even individuals. What one person considers obscene, another might view as art. What one generation deems taboo, the next might embrace as perfectly normal. It's a constantly evolving landscape, and navigating it requires careful consideration, open dialogue, and a healthy dose of tolerance. Section 7. Prohibition in action, how to tell people no effectively. Okay, so we've established that prohibitions are a thing. But how do we actually go about implementing them effectively? It's not as simple as just shouting no at the top of our lungs and hoping for the best. A successful prohibition requires a strategic approach with several key elements. First, we need to clearly identify the problem we're trying to address. Then we need to establish clear and specific rules outlining what is and isn't allowed. Next comes the tricky part, enforcement. We need effective mechanisms to ensure people actually follow the rules, whether it's through law enforcement, fines, or other forms of punishment. But it's not all about cracking the whip. Public education is crucial to raise awareness about the reasons behind the prohibition and encourage compliance. Finally, we need to regularly evaluate the effectiveness of the prohibition, making adjustments as needed. Section 8, the downside of don't challenges and consequences. Prohibition might seem like a simple solution on the surface, but it's rarely a magic bullet. In fact, prohibitions often come with a whole host of challenges and unintended consequences. One major challenge is resistance. People don't like being told what to do, even if it's for their own good. This can lead to defiance, black markets, and even organized crime, as seen during the American Prohibition era. Another issue is the potential for unintended consequences. For instance, banning a certain substance might lead to the emergence of a more dangerous substitute, or cracking down on one type of crime might simply displace it to another area. It's like squeezing a balloon. The problem doesn't disappear, it just pops up somewhere else. Section 9, Prohibition Hall of Fame and Shame, Successes and Failures. Throughout history, we've seen countless examples of prohibitions, some remarkably successful, others utterly disastrous. Let's take a look at a few notable examples. On the success side, we have the aforementioned smoking bans in public places. These regulations have dramatically reduced exposure to secondhand smoke and contributed to a decline in smoking rates. Another win? Seatbelt laws. This simple yet effective measure has saved countless lives by significantly reducing the risk of serious injury or death in car accidents. But not all prohibitions are created equal. The American Prohibition era, for instance, is widely considered a colossal failure. The ban on alcohol led to a surge in organized crime, widespread lawlessness, and the rise of dangerous bootlegged liquor. It also proved incredibly difficult to enforce, with many people finding creative ways to circumvent the law. Section 10, the final verdict, to ban or not to ban. So where does this leave us? Are prohibitions a necessary evil or a misguided attempt to control human behavior? The answer, as with most things in life, is nuanced. Prohibitions can be powerful tools for good, protecting us from harm, promoting public health, and preserving our environment. However, they are not without their drawbacks. They can be difficult to enforce, lead to unintended consequences, and even infringe on personal liberties. Ultimately, the key to effective prohibition lies in careful consideration, balance, and a willingness to adapt. We need to be clear about the problem we're trying to solve, weigh the potential costs and benefits, and be prepared to adjust our approach as needed. Because when it comes to telling people no, it's not just about the no, it's about the why and the how that truly matter.